Hey, this is Phoebe with Love Relationships Real Talk. So today we're going to talk about how to master the role of the star player. First, I'm going to start with our viewer letter that inspired this role. Here's the letter. My boyfriend is extremely good looking, funny, and social. When it's just us, I feel like the most important person in the world. He takes care of my every need in every way imaginable. But whenever we go out, which is often, I feel like I don't even exist. I don't think he's cheating on me, but I don't like how he interacts with other women. We argue about this all the time, and we never get anywhere because no matter how I frame my concerns or feelings, he thinks I'm accusing him of cheating. He tells me I'm asking him to change who he is. Am I? He says he's not going to change for anyone. We're both at an impasse. How can I resolve this problem? I'd like to share some ideas about what it is to live with a person who's a star player. And maybe your boyfriend will watch and take on some of my suggestions or open up a conversation for a different way of being. If he chooses to ignore the effects his way of being has on the one that he loves, then maybe that is your answer. Although their charm mesmerizes others, it may overwhelm those closest to them, like you. The very thing that drew you to your star player draws everyone else. This may make for a crowded relationship. The dilemma for the star player is, how do I maintain my brilliance and my shine and manage my ego at the same time so that I'm not overshadowing other people in my life? When confronted with the concern that their role brings to the relationship, they question, should I downplay who I am for the person I love? That's an authentic question, I think. And I think the answer to that question is no. But there are things you can do to share the space with your love. There's enough space for everyone to grow into their greatness, and we can help each other. Actually, that's our job, to help one another to grow and to become the person that we are intended to be. Now, the star player might already be ahead of their partner in doing that, and they might not feel afraid to ask for what they need. I'd like to offer a couple of suggestions for the star player who wants to master their role in their love relationship, and a few ideas for the person on the other half of the relationship. First, the star player. As a star player, you need to check in often. Communicate with your partner. Check in to see how they're feeling and what they might be going through if you notice that they're a little put off or withdrawn or something is not right with them. You have to check in. And with the star player, you're having so much fun living life and getting out there and meeting people and engaging with so many people that at times you tend to not recognize when something's going on with your partner. Have the real talk conversations that will help both of you grow inside the relationship. And you don't have to dim your light in order to make your partner happy, and they can work on brightening theirs. Your partner may be someone who's completely comfortable with being behind the scenes. In a dynamic that you have opposites attract, that's kind of what happens. The reason why the star player attracted that person who's sort of more low key and behind the scenes is because that energy is what attracts it to their big, bold, out there extroverted energy. So it's very often that you find an introvert with an extrovert. So in those cases, it's really important for the star player personality to check in with their partner so that the balance is maintained within the relationship. Suggestion that I have for the star player is to check your ego. This is very important because if you are letting your ego control the decisions that you're making for the relationship, then there really isn't any space for other people to grow and to have their needs addressed inside of that relationship. So this is huge. It's a personal check-in with yourself to determine whether or not your ego is in check or is it driving the relationship. The last suggestion that I have for this star player is to strongly support and praise your partner in their passions and their efforts. One major thing with the star player that you really have to learn how to manage is this, in the most simplistic form, their charisma can come off like flirtation. In the consideration of your partner, establish clear boundaries with others in order to secure and strengthen the confidence in your love and the love relationship that you have with your partner. So people who you're developing relationships with in your professional life or outside of your relationship, they understand that you are 100% committed to your partner, to your love. And you make that known while your partner is there in front of them and other people, especially those who you know have been trying to suggest other things. So flirtation is really huge. It's a part of life. It's a part of what people do. It's a part of sexuality and sex appeal. And it's a big thing that star players have. And so it's that very thing that drew you that's going to draw others as well. But when you choose to be in a love relationship with someone monogamously, then you are now responsible for managing that aspect of who you are. For the other half of the star player relationship, the other person who's not the star player, you need to remind yourself that although there are things your love can do to help you feel more secure in your relationship, they are not solely responsible for your emotional wellness and happiness. I will say that again. They are not responsible for your wellness and happiness. So this is what you can do in your star player relationship. First, you can work on your own gifts and talents. Build your own life. Don't take the back seat to your love because it's easier not to take risk or put in the work it may take to bring out the star player in you. You have to be willing to look at what makes you special and work on those things too. And your love may get on board with that also. It's very important also that you communicate realistic needs to your star player love. If you are speaking out of emotion or jealousy or resentment, you're not going to be able to communicate your true needs. Because the fact is, you really don't want your star player love to stop being who they are. You actually love those things about that person. You did when you met them, and you probably still do now. You probably feel very proud in their presence, but you want to feel like you are the first priority for your love. And the proof of that comes most of the time when they do it in front of others. And so that's what you're really asking for. You want to feel like you're their priority and you're what's most important to them. And they can still be who they are at the same time. So communicate your needs to your star player love in a way that is without those negative emotions and that would truly look at how you can become better inside of the relationship and not look like them having to change who they are to be in the relationship with you. I would also suggest that with the star player, don't abandon the person that attracted the star player to you in the first place. Most of the time, star players only will engage with people who are on their level, who they feel are equal to them. And in that regard, you have been or were that person at some point in time that attracted the star player in the first place. And so I say, don't abandon that person. If you lost them, find them. If you didn't know that that person existed, obviously it did, then you need to revisit what that looked like. Who were you being in the beginning? Isn't this type of relationship the perfect example of the point I made in the video, getting the love you want and need? That the purpose of our love relationships may have nothing to do with what society tells us they should be. You may be playing various societal roles while you're here on earth, but your purpose is to grow as a human being and to become what God intended for you to become. That may have nothing to do with your love. As a life partner who accepts that reality, we don't get in the way of that purpose. We support and encourage it. We allow ourselves to be used as a tool in God's grand plan for our love and ourselves. I am a witness to the fact that when we surrender control over the direction of our partner's life and growth process as a human being, based on the belief that we are entitled via the paperwork, the vows, or the rings, when we give up that societal idea that we have the right to do that, God reveals to us unimaginable gifts on this journey that we could never have imagined. So let your star player do their thing and you do yours with the agreement and the understanding of complete honesty. So one story that I want to close with was so interesting because as I was writing the ideas down for this episode, I was watching the show A Football Life, and they showcased the life of Pat Tillman. So you might know him. He was a great football player that was just amazing, courageous, just a fighter. And he was also this spirit that just wanted to soar and live life to the fullest every single moment. He was the star player, and he had a relationship with a woman, Marie Tillman, and they were together like ever since like middle school or something like that. And he never veered. He always made her feel like she was the priority and number one. And at the same time, she let him be who he was. And it was difficult because he made some decisions that were not popular with society's expectations. And she had to stand by him in that. And she did. And as many of you know, the end of the story is very tragic, actually. The end of his story is that he ended up quitting football and turning down $1 million contract and going into the military, into the army, to fight the Iraq War. And as a result, on his second tour, he was killed. And so people questioned at every turn, why are you doing this, Pat? Why are you doing this? And there's this thing called the warrior gene. And basically, it's a person, they just have to get out there and live life full tilt. And that's exactly who Pat Tillman was. And his wife understood that about him. And she let him be who he was. And that's a story that depicts the life lesson that I'm trying to share as a part of this video blog, that we're here to do things unimaginable to the human mind or societal expectations. And sometimes when we're living our lives, most of us will get in relationships, and then these societal roles are put on us on us in that, telling us that this is the way we need to be. And the reality is that we are here for reasons and purposes far beyond those roles that we play inside of our love relationships. And I love this story because this woman, Marie Tillman, she depicted what I envision as that person who just lets their love be who they are. And something inside of her, I'm sure, when he would go off and do these things that were dangerous and ill-advised by others, when she would give him her blessing and say, do what you have to do, that in her heart she felt so afraid, and at times she might have thought that she might not even see him again. Obviously, going to war, that's a great possibility. And she gave him her blessing and told him to go and do what he had to do anyway. That's unconditional love, and that's understanding that we are here to support our love in their life and not guide it. And I hope this helped. And if you're interested in learning more about how to master the role of the manager, stay tuned. It's my next episode. See you next time.